Hey everyone, this is a really tragic story about betrayal. Make sure to listen all the way to the end. Leave a like, drop a comment, and subscribe to the channel. She noticed he'd become different long before she knew the truth. It started with small things. He laughed less. He looked at his phone more. When she talked, he seemed to listen, but his eyes were somewhere far away. At first, she told herself it was work, fatigue, life. Everyone gets tired. Everyone changes. But then he started leaving later, coming home later, answering with short, dry phrases as if every conversation with her was an exam. And one day she realized she was talking to herself. They lived together, but only his body was there. His soul had gone somewhere else. That night she sat in the kitchen and waited. Midnight passed, and still he wasn't home. She called, no answer. She texted, no reply. When he finally walked in, he smelled like someone else's perfume. She didn't say a word. She just looked at him. He looked away, said, work, and walked past her as if she weren't there. That was the first moment she felt it, not the end, but the beginning of the end. She didn't make scenes. She didn't scream. She just kept living, cooking, cleaning, smiling at their son. But inside, something broke a little more every day. With each morning, each dinner, it's fine. Then came the night she would never forget. He'd forgotten to turn his phone to silent. He was asleep beside her when the screen lit up. She didn't want to look. Her hand moved on its own. One message. I miss you. When will I see you again? And his answer, short but devastating. Soon. She sat holding the phone, everything inside her going still. Time stopped. Her heart pounded so loudly she was sure the whole house could hear it. She didn't cry. She put the phone back and stared at the ceiling for a long time. In the morning, he noticed nothing. He kissed her on the forehead, like always, said, I'm heading out. She nodded, then stood at the window and watched his car pull away. She wanted to shout, to run after him, to ask something, anything. But she couldn't, because in that moment she understood. It didn't matter what he said. He had already made his choice. The next days passed like a dream. She ate, slept, smiled, worked, but everything felt foreign. People spoke to her and she couldn't hear them. Inside, everything was numb. Only one word circled in her head. Why? What went wrong? What did she do wrong? She wasn't perfect, but she tried. She was patient, supportive, forgiving. And he just left, not with his body, but with his soul. A week later, she couldn't take it anymore. That evening when he came home, she asked directly, Is there someone else? He froze, as if he hadn't expected it. Then he looked away and said quietly, Yes. No drama, no lying, just yes. 2 letters that felt like a stone dropping through her chest. She couldn't breathe. Why? She asked. He shrugged. I don't know. I just feel alive there. Those words cut like a knife. It meant with her he felt dead. She didn't scream. She just said, okay, and went to the other room. She didn't sleep that night. She stared at the ceiling and thought how strange it all is. 10 years together. A home, a child, thousands of conversations, laughter, tears, and it all collapses on one small yes. In the morning he left, taking a few things. I need time to think, he said, but she already knew. When a man says he needs time, he's looking for a way to leave without feeling guilty. She didn't try to stop him, not because she didn't love him, but because she couldn't beg anymore. When someone is leaving, you can't hold them. At first, it was terrifying. An empty home, a bed that felt unfamiliar, calls from friends she couldn't answer. She moved on autopilot, got up, fed her son, went to work, came back, and went to sleep in the quiet. At night, she cried but softly, so no one would hear. 3 weeks went by. He didn't call, not a single message, not a single, how are you? And at some point she realized he wasn't coming back. He couldn't, because betrayal doesn't end with a return. It leaves a mark that can't be erased. She tried to live, pretended she was fine. People said, "You're so strong." She wanted to scream, "No, I'm not strong. I just don't have a choice." But each day hurt a little less. The pain didn't leave, but it dulled. She stopped waiting for footsteps at the door, stopped checking her phone. She just lived. Months later, they ran into each other on the street. He was walking toward her with flowers, smiling. Next to him, the woman, young, laughing, bright eyes. He saw her and froze. A second later, he looked away. They passed each other like strangers. It hurt, but not from jealousy, from the understanding that it truly was over. That evening, she thought a long time, about him, about herself, about life. She realized infidelity isn't only about another person. It's about the moment the bond inside you dies, when you stop listening, when you stop feeling, when "I love you" turns into "I'm tired," when conversations become formalities. She remembered when he once said, "You don't hear me." And she had answered, "You don't see me." And now she saw they had both been right. He went where he was listened to. She stayed, waiting to be seen. Sometimes she thought she could forgive. Then she remembered how he looked at that woman. There was light in his eyes. He hadn't looked at her like that in a long time. And she understood. Forgiveness isn't a return. It's just a way not to live with hate. She didn't hate him. She let him go. Life moved forward. She found a new job, dyed her hair, started running in the mornings. She smiled more. People said, "You're glowing." Inside, she knew it wasn't blooming. It was spring after a very long winter. A year later, he called. In the evening, his voice was quiet, tired. "Hey, can we meet?" She wasn't sure what she wanted. Curiosity, answers, closure. She said yes. They met at a cafe. He was different, older, grayer, the same eyes, but without certainty. "I ruined everything," he said. She said nothing. He went on, "I thought it would be easier